Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be solving another important DSA question, which is contains duplicate 2. It is problem number 219 on Leetcode. But before solving it directly, we'll be first briefly discussing about its predecessor problem, which is contains duplicate 1. Here's the question, which is an easy one. So the question basically says that you'll be given an array num and you'll have to return true if any value appears at least twice in the array, meaning if it contains duplicate, you'll have to return true. Otherwise, you'll have to return false if every element is distinct. Let's talk about this example. I can see that there are two values of 1, so it contains duplicate, so I'll be returning true. Further, in the next example, I'm having an array which is having all distinct elements. Therefore, the output would be false. So I can easily solve it using a hash set, time complexity and space complexity both big of n. I can run a for loop and keep on putting each element inside the hash set, and before each insertion in the hash set, I'll check if this element is contained in the hash set or not. If you find any element that is already present in the hash set, you'll be returning true for it. So this is the simple logic of contains duplicate. So now let's move on to our topic of today's video, which is contains duplicate 2. So this problem is slightly a sophisticated version of the previous problem, but still an easy one. So you will be given an array num and an integer k, and you'll have to return true if there are two different indices I and j in the array such that nums of I is equals to nums of j, meaning the value at both the indices should be equal and the absolute value of I minus j should be less than or equal to k, which is this integer variable. Let's go to OneNote and try to understand what does the question tries to say, and then we'll be solving it. So let's consider this example. I'm having a nums array and the value of k is 3. I need to find out whether this array contains duplicate where the difference between the indices of the duplicate element is less than equals to 3. Intuitively, you can see that this is at index 1 and this one is at index 4. If I try to find out the absolute value of 1 minus 4, I'll get 3, which is less than equal to k. So hence it will return true. So to solve this, I'll be traversing each element one by one as current element, taking into account its recently encountered index. For this, I'll be using a hash map to solve this question where my key would be the current element that I'm currently iterating over, and the value would be previous index. Let's take a look at this algorithm. You will have a clear understanding that what I'm talking about. So as I've told you, we'll be traversing the array. While traversing the array, if the current number is already there in my hash map, then these two subpoints would execute. So basically, this is an if statement to check if the current number is inside the hash map or not. If it is there, I'll be calculating the distance between the current index, the index of my current element, and the previous index of that element, which I'll be fetching from my hash map. After calculating this distance, I'll check if the distance is less than or equals to k. If it is, I'll be returning true as my answer. After execution of if statement, we will update the current index in the hash map. So we'll replace this previous index and replace it with the current index in the value column of our current element. Right. Let's now check this example iteration by iteration. Let's start with the first iteration. First of all, I'll be having 2 as my current element. I'll check if the current element is inside my map. No, it is not. So this condition becomes false. Secondly, we'll update the current index in the map. So my current value is 2. The latest index that we have encountered is 0. Now moving on to our next iteration, where 1 would be my current element. I'll again check if my current number is in the map. No, 1 is not in the map. Then I'll be simply adding this 1 along with its previously encountered index. Similarly, for the third iteration, the first condition again fails. We'll be adding the current element inside my hash map along with its previously encountered index, which is 2. Now, on fourth iteration, we'll come on to 4. Again, 4 is not there in the hash map. We'll be adding 4 along with its index. Now, in the next iteration, we'll reach 1. And now, we'll check this condition. If the current number is in the map, Yes, it is there. 1 is in the map. So now my current index is 4 and my previous index is 1. So I'll find out the absolute distance between the current index and the previous index. Therefore, 4 minus 1 gives us 3, which is less than or equal to our k. So this condition is also satisfied. So we have reached our answer and my function would return true. So now let's see this logic in the form of code. I'll start off by creating a hash map. After creating the hash map, now I need to traverse this nums array, for which I'll be using a for loop starting from 0, ending at the last index. So the first condition of our algorithm, if my map contains my current element, after this condition is true, I need to calculate the distance between my current index, which is I, and the previous index of my current element, which I'll be fetching from this map. Now I'll check if my distance is less than or equals to k. If this condition is satisfied, I'll return true. This if statement would be followed by putting the value in the hash map, current element as my key, and the current index. If the current element is already there in the hash map, it will act as an updation statement. And in the end, if this entire for loop terminate, I would return false. Let's now run this. Our code has passed all the test cases. So this was all about contains duplicate 2. For more such DSA videos and AI related content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.